Hi, I'm James with AllCentralFlorida. As some of you guys may know, D23 is currently going on in Southern California. Now, for the topic of this video, some of you guys have been asking me what my thoughts and opinions are for the proposed rumored changes coming to Walt Disney World. And for that, in this video, I'm going to address all of the viewpoints from the rumor and upcoming tracker timeline. Now, the first one that we're going to do is Epcot. Epcot is really in a need for revitalization, and it's really showing its age. And with Epcot, right after Hollywood Studios is when I would say it would start, because Hollywood Studios in itself is at a diminished capacity, and Walt Disney World cannot have any more major areas of parks down, especially for their pricing point right now. So with that, I can see them doing it and starting in 2019 when Star Wars is projected to be open, and not doing it as of the beginning of next year. But that might change with the opening of Toy Story Land out in Hollywood Studios. Now for that, one of the big ones is that there's a big push to bring intellectual properties into the park. And while it does go away from Epcot's motif of being the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, where you're supposed to learn, where it's supposed to be a giant learning center. Now, I can agree with them wanting to bring more IPs in because it will draw in more visitors, and that will bring in more revenue for the park. However, they need to address it in a manner where it doesn't become the Magic Kingdom and it remains around education to some extent, such as with the Land Pavilion and the Seas with Nemo and Friends, Universe of Energy, so on and so forth. But with that, they do need to bring it in because they can bring in more crowds to IPs they already know and love. But if they can tie it into an environmental story in Future World, for instance, like with Circle of Life, starring with Lion King in it, I can see them doing that and I would be perfectly fine with it. Now, Epcot is rumored to get a new name. If it does, I hope it goes back to Epcot Center, since that's what Epcot's founding name was. And we've seen a push lately with Disney of adding the word Disney into it or dropping something from it, with like the Magic Kingdom turned into the Magic Kingdom, with the Magic Kingdom turned into Magic Kingdom on the signage out front. But with that, let me go into the deeper part of Epcot and into the actual breakdown, going to all the proposals through this timeline. Now for this, we're going to do phase 1 of Siemens ending their sponsorship. It's already been announced, and with that, I knew it was only ever a 12-year contract from what Siemens announced in 2005. However, the termination date actually caught me off guard, because I believed it was going to be somewhere in mid-2018, early 2019, from what I understood at the time. But I did give the benefit of the doubt, saying that I might be wrong because I don't know when contracts are signed. And with that, all I can say is that there's been an agreement been struck, but I don't know if it's been finalized and signed at the time. For that, Spaceship Earth getting a refurb. It does need to get a refurb. They really need to add more to the ending other than the touch screens and just LED bulbs that are just there to illuminate it to give a star pattern. With the 2007 one before that, the Jeremy Irons version actually, it had a beautiful ending coming back down on the descent with still props and stages that they had stuff. But with the new stars, there's actually some more light bleeding going on where there are certain parts where you can see elements from Tomorrow's Child. Still, that hasn't been around since pre-Jeremy Irons. For that, I'll go into Ellen's Energy Adventure. For Guardians of the Galaxy, I can see it coming in maybe, but it all involves, personally with me, the contract with Universal, Orlando, and having Marvel. I've read the contract, and I know that Disney wouldn't be able to advertise it east of the Mississippi, especially within 60 miles of Universal, where while they are going to the international crowd, they cut off a big portion of the United States with a lot of populace, and especially in the Central Florida area. And I know with the contract as well, they can't have anything more than 10 acres, where Ellen's Energy Adventure is bigger than that, because if you look at Epcot alone is 300 acres. Now I'll continue on down here to Mission Space. Mission Space has been rumored of getting a refurbishment, which is currently underway, of getting new graphics, which there was a permit filed for it, and potentially new video, which I can see the video hasn't been replaced since it opened up in 2003, with the removal before that of Horizons. So it's been 15 years, it's time for a change, really. Well, nearly 15 years, and it's time for a change. For Imagination, I've heard many different things for it, and I personally do believe that Figment will stay as a mainstay and that Inside Out won't be brought in. But it is possible that Inside Out could be brought in, but personally for Inside Out, I would rather see them reuse parts of the Wonders of Life Pavilion that shut down in 2007. But I know that they won't do it, but they do have the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience Theater, which they already show Pixar's short animated features in there. Something that they could easily show something for Inside Out, where they could tell an enveloped story in 3D while having Figment maintain the pillars of imagination that they had since 1982. And hopefully we can see Dreamfinder come back. I know that with the comics there was a revitalization of Dreamfinder and a lot more people wanting him back, and especially with the D23 event in 2011 where they had Ron Schneider go and portray Dreamfinder as he did when the park opened in 1982. But with that, things do change, and Figment's been around since park opening in 82. They're now nearing the over 35th anniversary at this, actually 35th anniversary this year. And going on to this, the Land Pavilion does need an update. Personally, I can see them updating the Circle of Life show, because I don't recall when that reopened or when that was last updated. But times are changing, and we have made a lot more advancements in greener energy and in recycling and caring for the environment since that video's been produced. But they do need to keep elements of it in there, keep the underlying theme of environmental concerns in it. But with that, like, you can keep the land boat ride in there. That's one of the ones I love. You can also keep in Behind the Seats tour, a tour that actually tours the hydroponic gardens that they have. But generally, in my opinion, I don't see the Circle of Life show to be a big ticket item that they've always wanted it to be for the theater that they have. Going on, Living Seats Pavilion, getting a refurb. They haven't had a refurb since 2007 when it opened up as Nemo and Friends, and this would actually be a prime time for them to bring in Finding Dory. But my big concern is, with all the issues that SeaWorld's had with their animals, how will Disney proceed forward? Because some of the animals are actually on loan to Disney through SeaWorld, and SeaWorld gets a lot of money through federal grants. But with SeaWorld, they're doing a drastic change themselves, so I can potentially see a drastic change in the seas, but still keeping Finding Nemo elements in there and updating some to be Finding Dory. From there, Wonders of Life, what can I say? It's their festival center, which will probably be until they decide what to do with it. Now, that's been rumored to be Guardians of the Galaxy Phase 2, and for that I'll just direct you back to my comment of I would like to see how it will develop within the contract of Marvel Entertainment and Universal, dated back to the mid-90s. We'll go over to the World Showcase Lagoon. Paris, I can see Paris getting an attraction. there's actually a lot of open space back there for World Showcase. So, Paris, bring in an attraction other than I believe it's the French Circle Vision show, if my memory's blanking on it right now. But keep in something, and just like, you can bring in another attraction, have 2 attractions going, and that would actually provide a lot more options for World Showcase, and some of Future World does close at 7 p.m., which actually I'll briefly go back and mention Innoventions. Innoventions needs to get a major upgrade. Half of it is closed right now with only one exhibit open, Colortopia by Gildan Paint. And with that, they're just letting stuff just rot back there, essentially. I saw photos a week ago from BioReconstruct on Twitter showing that the motion simulators and the signage are still up for some of All Thrills, which closed about a year ago. And I actually put up about 2 weeks ago a photo of the signage still up as well on my Twitter account, which you can get the information below. But I'll go back to the World Showcase now, as I digress. And a new country? Yeah. There was a few countries planned from the beginning that never did go through, and there's a lot of space there for the countries to come in. But it's rather more of the question of what country. Now, Disney can do Brazil, and that will tie into the main tour groups that come in through Brazil for Walt Disney World and give them a little piece of their homeland that they can come back and visit. But it all depends on how they can perceive that of, do our guests from Brazil want to go to a pavilion that is sponsored by the Brazilian government? So there's a lot of logistics there, as well as funding. The Disney company has always asked for a country to sponsor part of it, and as well do international agreements with them to bring in representatives to work there from the native homeland. Now, the next one, coming to UK. UK, they're rumoring an attraction for it, which, again, I'm all there for attraction, but there's really no space, personally to me, back there, unless you do some demolition. And I haven't really thought of anything that could fit there. You could do Mary Poppins with the film coming out soon, but that's going to be very questionable on how that does in the box office, and if there is a push to bring Mary Poppins in. Going over to the Mexico Pavilion, to the Grand Fiesta tour. The Grand Fiesta with the 3 Caballeros. And with that, I just say, go back to what you guys had before you Disney-fied it at that point, because it was a lot better, and I personally loved then the El Dia de Muertos segment, Day of the Dead. But with that, I know some people are rumoring Coco, and that's really far off. Coco hasn't been released yet, and we don't know exactly how it will do in the box office as well. For Canada's 360 Theater, it's been rumored that it's going to go digital. It needs to. While film is beautiful, you get no sound from the projection equipment at all that you can hear in there now, and you can get a lot cleaner audio as well. And then from there, American Adventure going digital as well. If you can go digital, I say you can. I am one for film though. I do enjoy 35mm, 75mm film. I actually own some film trailers in 35mm film. However, again, it's for noise and to increase clarity and have it stay consistent throughout its run. And then Illuminations. Illuminations needs to be refurbished. It's been in its current configuration since 1998 after Illumination's 25B, as it was called. But Illumination's also, they've been running Reflections of Earth again since 98, and Illuminations has been under that same marketing tier since 1988, before when they had their other shows as well. But generally, with Spaceship Earth going down for refurbishment, I can see a new show coming in as well for Illuminations, because those are, as Siemens showed, potentially a hand-in-hand contract. From there, we'll go over to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Star Wars 2019, that's what Disney told us already like a few months ago at a share meeting for shareholders. So with that's why I'm giving Epcot the beginning of its revitalization in 2019. So a lot more guests will be going over to Epcot. To Hollywood Studios, and not to Epcot, while a lot of stuff at Epcot could be down for that. For all that, generally all I can say is Star Wars is going to be Star Wars, and Toy Story is going to be Toy Story, and I'll just skip ahead over that new construction and go directly to Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror should be staying this way it is, because again, through the contract with Marvel and Universal, through Guardians of the Galaxy, plus the Tower of Terror is the original, so it has more of the effects, and with that they've done a lot to improve it throughout the years, including making it randomized, so it depends to see how Disney wants to go through that route. With the Great Movie Ride, all I can say is if it is leaving, I'm going to miss it. But that's another one like Disney Quest where if they kept it updated, it would do extremely well. Where there's some films there where the average moviegoer hasn't seen them, like Casablanca or Singing in the Rain. I actually went to the Singing in the Rain premiere, when they aired it through TCM in January, and I was honestly flabbergasted at how many people were in the theater for it. But it's one of those rides where a lot of people, unless it's like 80s, 70s, and 80s up, they probably haven't seen it, depending on the demographic that they're targeting for. So, as I'll miss a Great Movie Ride if it does indeed close, it's one of those where if it was updated, it would have done extremely well. Going over to Fantasmic, I can see it getting a better upgrade, new projection equipment, new audio gear, stuff like that, but that's going to be something that they could have already done. So I'll just play it off as something that could or could not happen. Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, I can see them staying for now, because especially with Voyage of the Little Mermaid, I know people were worried that when Voyage of the Little Mermaid was going to close when Under the Sea opened in the Magic Kingdom, but as it's shown that that's not the case, and Voyage of the Little Mermaid still brings in a lot of people. Same with Beauty and the Beast, but Beauty and the Beast, I can see them tying in elements to the new film, which personally I'm against, because if you're going to do an animated work, keep it an animated work. Like live action, you don't need to modernize it to your latest incarnation, but it's one of those things where they need to do it to stay fresh, and a lot of the upcoming generation, that will probably be the only Beauty and the Beast that they'll ever know. And they'll be like, this didn't happen in the animated, this didn't happen in the live action one, with someone telling them, oh, it happened in the animated one. So it depends to see how Disney wants to take it. From there, we'll go over to Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, they're going to be getting ready for the 50th, and there's really nothing I can say there other than I can see a new show replacing Happily Ever After for the 50th, but I would assume that Happily Ever After would come back afterwards unless Disney figures out something else or the latest advancements in technologies, and we're talking about 2021, so 5 years from now. So it depends for them at that time. I really won't brief much on the 50th because we're still a long way away before we know anything is set in stone. Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland does need to get refurbished. And I know that Tom Corliss posted, confirmed, Tron coaster coming to Tomorrowland, going to replace the Indy Speedway. I don't think so. While Tron can come in, there's more than enough space there. I can see it being vital to the revitalization of Tomorrowland. And I actually posted up on WDW Magic, bring Tron in, and then from there, what you guys can do is make it so its night theme is all the grid in Tomorrowland and bring back a form of Electronica, and that's how you can revitalize it. And a lot of people are upset when Electronica closed in California. And unfortunately I never went to, but I would have loved to have gone to it, being a huge Tron fan that I am. Stitch, the thorn in everyone's side. Stitch, it's gonna go. It's actually not shocking, especially when they made it go into operational status under seasonal, where it's only open a few times a year. That's usually for theme parks, depending on it, signs that it's going on its way out because it's not getting the guest positive scores that they want. And of course, Stitch using a really weird idea concept while reusing parts of Alien Encounter, while I try to not blank on the previous attraction name. Carousel of Progress, I hope it stays. It's been a mainstay. And with that, they just recently redid the theater. What I would love to see them do is add another scene so you have loading and unloading at the same time, which you technically could do, but you would have to update the stage a bit for it, where you can do loading on the left side and unloading on the right side, but it depends on how they want to do it. But use showroom 5 out of the 6 in there. Is it? Yeah, I believe it's the 6, because, yeah, it's the 6th room. So use the unload room as the last scene, if you can do it, because from there, it would actually tie in the show beautifully, and have it so you still keep the original Gene Shepard narration. From there, Tron has more than enough space to go behind Speedway with Speedway staying. And Speedway really should be, at that point, just tied in Tron, do light cycle racing. Essentially, though, that's what the Tron coaster is about, so you can do something with light cycles, or upgrade the vehicles in the Tomorrowland Indy Speedway to electric. The track work would just need to be redone, but it could support it. Use all induction based. Or even just use wire as well. Wreck-It Ralph, yeah, no, really doesn't fit the theme of Tomorrowland. While, yes, it's video games and all that, again, at that point, just put it in with an exit to Flynn's Arcade and bring back Electronica. There you go, tie in 2 IPs in a one hit. And then, going through here, Tiki Room, I can see the Tiki Room staying, personally. But it's possible. Tiki Room hasn't been loading in full shows for a few years now, from what I've seen. So, who personally knows what's going to happen there? With the concept, they could put Lilo and Stitch there and do their show that they have in Japan. That would be something interesting to keep Stitch relevant in the parks, but not into Tomorrowland. Then their Volcano rumor that came out right before the opening of Volcano Bay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. While they might have the room for it, what can you really put? Moana? And with that, I can say that it's not going to come in. Personally, there's really nothing I can say on it other than why. Upgrading Jungle Cruise. Yeah, when you upgrade Jungle Cruise, just redo animatronics and update it like that. Don't tie it into the movie, but knowing Disney and how they need to do these tie-ins, it might happen. Apparently The Rock says that they're considering it, but again, it all depends on how it does in the box office, and see what guests think. See if they want to keep it updated, bring in The Rock to it or not. It, again, all depends on what they want to do. Going over to, let's see here, the Hall of Presidents. Yeah, that'll reopen when it reopens at this point. And then from there, really, just general enhancements to Disney's Animal Kingdom, something that I can see as well. Some parts of Animal Kingdom, such as Expedition Everest, hasn't been refurbished in a long time. Expedition Everest, actually, last time it was down was when it was under construction, so it's been operating 12, 13 years without a refurbishment, which it really should, at the time, it really should hit the point that it needs to be refurbed, but it's still one of the smoothest coaster experiences I've been on, other than Mako at SeaWorld. Going to the resorts, all I can say is, yeah, they might get they're going to get the gondolas. Looking closer at the permit data that was uploaded to WDW Magic, I can say the gondolas are coming. I don't know why. I don't know what conceived it, but I guess they figured, we have the monorail, we have the boats, we have the buses, so let's just make a gondola. It's one of those things. Then from there, really, Disney Springs, I don't know why they're bringing Marvel in. I'm sorry, not Marvel, NBA into it for Disney Quest. And Disney Quest is one of those where if they kept it updated to the times, it would have probably done successful. I know when I was there for the near the close of it, like 2 weeks prior, I was looking at some of the stuff, and they're down to attractions that opened when the building opened in '98. And nothing ever replaced them. With the one Escape from the Comics abandoned, where they just walled it off, like a half wall, and that was it. Which was really, like, un-Disney of them. Personally, I don't know why NBA is taking over the space, but time will tell. And Cirque du Soleil, from an article I read from an Argentinian newspaper, an interview with the CEO of Cirque du Soleil. It's going to be a new show, maybe a tribute to Disney animation, but I don't expect it to be the full tribute, like a full-blown show, because really, you're here for Disney, you're around all the stuff, where if they do a segment in the show, like, hey, that's cool. But doing a whole circus show around Disney animation, I really don't think is going to do extremely well. LED lights rumored. Hey, I'm for it. I'm a big fan of LED lighting, especially the RGB lighting, to bring in the moods, because it's really, really nice. Fortunately, I don't have any, but I really want to get some. And really, other than that, all I can say is expect a lot of changes coming soon to the parks, and hopefully it'll be for the good or better. Well, for the better. We don't know until later today what Disney has up their sleeve when they announce it. But I'm going to post in the comments below the rumor tracker that I was using from WDW Magic to address my points in the video. And I'd like to hear what your opinions are to whether it's the rumors themselves or to my opinions on them as well. And leave a comment below if you like this concept, where I'll spend the time to address some of my thoughts, and I'll try to do more videos on it. But other than that, thank you for watching, and if you'd like to, you guys can subscribe to us here on YouTube, and subscribe to us on our social medias in the comments below. I'm James with AllCentralFlorida. Thank you for watching.